Hey guys, welcome to the fourth lesson of the basic programming course. At first, I would really advise you to do just the first three lessons before going on to this lesson. Just to be very aware of what's happening, the way we try to explain it to you in pseudocode, not real code yet. That will be later stage, but you will need this basics, which is almost in every programming language doing the same. The way it's written is maybe a little bit different, but almost all programming languages handle these kind of systems. So it's good to have this first as a basics knowledge. If you have any questions, remarks, or discussions, please go to the Discord. It will be dropped. The link there to the Discord is in the description below. So now let's continue with our next subject, which are objects and classes. In a previous lesson, we had variables which were like string, which was called first name, and we had like a data field which was string, last name, for example. The string is a piece of text, as we know, it's a variable, and string is a type. Actually, actually, it is, and it you will learn now, it is a standard variation of a type of an object. Because we can also give a new definition to an object. For example, we have a thing which is called a person, and that person has a first name, which is a string. We have a last name, which is a string. He has an address, which is also a string. And we have a city, which is also a string. And we have an age, which is an integer, right? Referring to previous lessons. But now, as you already probably have thought, this person is like one entity. Like me, I have all these things. You, as a watcher, also have all these um, attributes on you. These are like the values which fits into the person, right? So we define here that a person consists of a first name, last name, address, city, and he has an age. We can also do the date of birth and do calculations on it, but that will be way more complex. So we're not covering that here right now. Trying to keep it simple and make you just aware of the functions. What we can do here is that we actually say, like, let's save this a little bit to the side so we have this for reference for our own perception. Now we will do some pseudo programming again, and I'll show you what we kind of have. So now, again, as you saw, if we define a variable, we first give the type and the first name, string first name, and again, the reverse mathematical way of writing it. So first we say we are defining this, and now we're giving the definition, and that was John, right? So now we are going to say we are not working with a string, but we are working with a person because we have defined string was also an object type, and we also made person an object. So we are calling this one like let's call it a first person. I don't care how it's really called. Of course, it's the name of the variable where we which variable type is person, which we have the name of the variable pointing out to an instance of this. So now this isn't true, but let's say then we can define it like a first person, and it depends a little bit on which programming language, but it can be first person. First name is John, and in others it's first person dot first name is John. Like for example in PHP, this is the way you're noting it down. In C Sharp, this is the way you're noting it down. Actually, this last one is most common, so let's remove this one for now. And then we can also set the other values of this either. Last name is Smith, right? And we can continue with this with the other variables, obviously. If we say like print first person dot first name, this will result again in John, as we learned in previous things. So we can create one object version, which is done here. Then we create the first person as an entity, and then we define the value of the multiple variables which are in it. With this said, let's delete this yellow stuff a little bit. We can also do this and like let's keep in the logics of the last one. We do it here. First name Miley, last name Cyrus, MC. Why not? Now we obviously have, you will understand it. This will print Cyrus. All right, makes sense, right? Um, if we want to take this even further, we can just say we can also have, let's say, an array of persons. Um, and then we add to the array, we will get this per thing later. We add first person and we add the second person. And now we can while or like for the for loop, which is also in the previous lessons for, let's say, length of array, which results in I. And what we are doing then is print, do it a little bit better even, for every item which is in the array, which is persons, person in persons. So in this array which we had created here, there are multiple persons. Um, let's call the outgoing thing, it's somebody, and then we just print somebody's first name, and it's running it. So this will output first John, then Miley. Because let's run it again. We have created two objects with this structure. The first one is John Smith. The second one is Smiley Cyrus. Then we are just printing something to output it. If we delete this, it's more simple. Then we create an array. The code for this will be language specific. We will do it later, but you create an array. Again, if you don't get this, refer to the previous lesson. And on the array, we add the first person and we add the second first person. Like this is a function of your array, and it's adding the parameter, which was in lesson 1 or 2, I guess. And then we're looping that array here and the variable per array element with a key index, like previous lesson. We call it somebody, so somebody will be, because this is an array of persons, of this data objects, somebody will also be of this variant. So then we just print somebody first name for every item which is in this array. So we first added John, then we added Miley, and then it's there and outputting this. So these are like objects you can create. Now let's make it a little bit more difficult. If you're not getting this, pause the video, go back, rewatch this until you're fully understanding this, because our speed is quite high in this explanation, and I'll not explain things 10 times, so just try to understand it. Um, at first, also, don't forget, it is most important of all, subscribe to our channel, like this video, do something nice with it, and of course, happy to see you in the Discord. For now, we can also say that this person, like we're calling this a class in most programming languages, is not containing only hard values, but maybe they are also having a function, which is, let me create a little bit of space here, go to the side, hop. We create a function in the object, so in the class, because then it will handle it. You can actually not only define things here, but you could also create functions in it, like also in lesson 2, I guess, for reusability functions, you can make things happen. We can also say like set age, but this has to have a parameter which is obviously an int for illustration purposes. And this one will execute like age is parameter. Again, reverse mathematical notation, like what are we defining? Well, we are defining the age of this person wherever we are, and we're setting it to the parameter of the function. Remember lesson 2. So if we do this and we have first person dot age is 18, and we would do print first person dot age, it will output 18. If we then do first person dot age is 19, then print first person dot age will print you 19. But if we do first person dot age, sorry, no, we created a new one, set age, and we do this, 20, and we do then print first, oh, this is also not nice, come on, first person dot age, this will print you 20, because this actually, in our case here, which we defined, this function, this does the same as what you do here. Now, this seems stupid, but in most classes, especially internal values, like which are not meant to be able to be connected from the outside, are only internal, and those values are only managed by functions as you define it. But you're free to do anything here because the end is endless. You can do anything you want. Um, for this, let's say we get this right. So delete a little bit to keep this clean. So this will still be working and still does output you 20. We can make a second function here, which is, let's call it get full name. And guys, we do not need any parameters here because we actually have all the data already. So what this will do is, like in lesson 1 and 2, you saw that it works, a function can work with a return. Like if we're setting the age, we do not have to reply with anything. That's actually called void if we do not have to reply with anything. Um, this differs a little bit per language. Void is for C sharp, for example, and this will tell the system that it's not replying anything. You're just setting this value of this integer, in this case, from that variable. But in get full name, we do want a reply, and the reply will be the first name plus last name, which are both text, and a full name is also text. Let's say, and this is of course very true, I want to reply with a string. This is mostly the place where it's noted down what the place is, like defining the return value. What we are returning here is the first name plus, and let me already hint you, space plus last name, because programming is very literal. So if you do not add the space, the first name, and the last name, like John Smith, will be like stick to each other. So if we do now print first person dot get full name, first this would be outputting exactly if I didn't have the space in it, this one, it wouldn't literally give me this without a space in it. Like here's no space here. But as we defined it here, that it should also return the space, we get a nicely formatted full name. So here you can work with a class which is actually executing things for you, modifying things, and store things at the way you want to use it within your program. Because like we already saw, we can put these persons in an array, do things with it. We can like, for example, if we have an array with persons in it, we could already create a variable here. Like, all right, let me do this. Um, I'll show you one trick here. We again do the second person also. Second person will only work with age, for example. Age is 23. Um, we create an array with persons for each somebody in like did we give it a name persons somebody in persons. This will like um, so we first need to add them. So we do persons dot add first person, and we do persons dot add second person, even again as a parameter, because arrays also have these functions, like they have an internal library of what is in it, and they have functions like this, and one of those functions is literally add, where your variable, your object, your whatever is added to their internal dictionary library, give it a name. um, so here we have added two persons in that array, which is called persons. Then we looping the it, and we just say that we have somebody here, which is obviously of this structure. And if we say, like again, let's repeat it a little bit, somebody dot age, this will return in two lines, which is first 20 and then 23. Not 18 because we set the age here to 20, so this value is replaced by the new value due to our function which we made here. But we're not printing their age. Um, we have an integer which is, let's call it total age, but it's 0, guys. We defining the total age is 0 because it's nothing. Let's make a little bit more room here because we are actually making a very big program. If we are doing this, then we define again reverse mathematical notation. First, what are we defining? We are defining total age, which is the old total age plus somebody dot age. Also print total age. So this will run. If you're running this, it's first adding somebody but age. So it's first adding 20, the second value. So it's outputting 20. And the next one is that it's again, it's counting up with this 23 value. So it will print 43 in this line because we are added here 20 with the new 23 added to it. And this print will give you 23, 43, of course, sorry. This means you can do something with it. You can also do an average age is 0, and um, for that we also need to know the amount of users or sorry persons in it. So let's say we have int amount persons is persons dot count. Like this gives how much entities are in persons, which are two. First person and second person were added, so this is two. You can also make a counter here and increase it here every time, but you can more simply just say, like a standard array function, just tell me how much elements are in you, Mr. Array. So if we have this, let's delete this printing because we don't need it anymore. And if you still want to see it, go back, pause the video, go back, replay it. All right. Now we have the average age and the person which is counting. We already know that total age. Sorry, I didn't must not delete this because you first have to start something. The total age was 43, right? We know that. But there are two in here. What did we say about integers? Because integers are whole numbers, not floating points, no decimals. So 43 divided by 2 will result in 22, which is not true because it's 21.5, right? We can all do that math. But because it's an integer, it will automatically give you this. So we do not want to have this as an int, but we want this to be a float or a decimal if you need more space and precision. Let's say just the float, the standard one. So this means this will be a decimal number now. And watch it, this is pure pseudocode yet, because in some languages you have to convert this before or after. That depends per language, per programming language. But let's say here, because we just said floating, this is now a float and not an int. Now we can have a more precise outcome, which is 21.5 and not 22. So we're even learning more about variable types here and why an integer and float are different. You can see it here. Well, all right. And the whole basic stuff is that this is an object, which is in this case a class. It contains extra parameter settings. You can do extra things with it. Obviously, you can make thousands of things by that because these are mostly the very simple ones, but in practically sense of way, you have, for example, you create handlers for whole topics of your application, which are using this ones and also other classes, and they are completely running through each other, using and overusing each other's functions internally, our values, and so on. Imagine running a web shop or with the product data. Maybe some type of clients get some discount or it will the amount of stock which is there. Maybe you have multiple stocks, so you have to differentiate your product over stockholders and so on. And maybe every stock place, every will have some other delivery time to get it to the shipment area, or like you can think of millions of things which are like need to work with each other. And if you see this, how already complicated this becomes. Think back to the first lesson about the mindset, how you would get the cucumber from the grocery store. And you already have an idea now how super complex that should be, that will be, and how that um, where you need this constantly from A to B mindset, because we are literally here in our program, because this is only our class person. What we doing here is actually completely going from A to B, um, steps by step, following it. If we mix up here with one step, we first do this before creating the second person. The add second person will say, I don't know who second person is, man. So I'm erroring here. So first, you'll need to know who the second person is and his age, because without the age, you cannot count it up. So if we would first count it up before even the age was set, like if this line was not there, this will be erroring because this did not contain an age yet because it wasn't set, right? Like it also has no first name or last name right now. So from A to B, always running through it. So if you like this, go like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or remarks, you want to discuss about this, have any questions, feel free to join our Discord. The link is in the description below. And for now, I wish you a very good day.